So, hey everyone. Murder Drones, The First Encounter is one of the best Murder Drones fan projects that you can read right now. This video is going to be quite short, as there's not much to the game right now, except for just kind of a short prologue. Yet, a lot of what this prologue is doing is making me quite excited for what's to come. Murder Drones First Encounter is made by ALIansEN, and this project at the time of making this video has been going on for about a year now. And we just recently got the last update before Chapter 1 Planetfall releases, so I'm quite excited about that. So with the quick intro for developer and project now done, let's now get into this project. So before anything, keep in mind that this project is still in development, and things that I say here can become outdated as Alan continues to work on this project. Oh, and also big spoilers for the prologue. I would highly recommend that you play the game first, as it's very, very good. And I wouldn't want my views to change on how you see this project before you even play the damn thing. Because even though I have tons of praise, there are also things that I think can change to make this great project even better than it already is. Alright, I think we're done. Let's start with the story overview. If you have already played the game and don't want to hear me blabble about the story, you can skip to the timestamp in the video description or in the video time bar if I can even figure out how that works. So, alright, on with the project. We start off with our main character, Artyom. I see what you did there, Alan. Don't you dare think I didn't notice. Anyway, doing a presentation in front of the class, much like what Uzi was doing at the beginning of Murder Drones, but instead of a project on a sick-as-hell railgun to kill murder drones, it's a presentation on an antenna that can send and receive signals. Now you might be wondering why Artyom has decided to make a presentation on this. Well, it's because Murder Drones, The First Encounter, is a prequel to the smash hit glitch production show Murder Drones. And Artyom believes that they have not since heard from JC Jensen since the event that kind of blew up the planet and killed all humans, due to not being able to get in contact with JC Jensen because of the lack of a way to communicate with JC Jensen, hence why he's making an antenna to communicate with them. While Artyom is doing his presentation on this project, he realizes that no one is really paying attention to him, and we, the player, get to choose Artyom's next moves. Do we have Artyom keep on reading his notes, skip most of what Artyom has planned for the script, and kind of just skip to the end, or just completely ditch the notes and bring up a story about humans to get intrigue about Artyom's project? Now, the first thing you're probably thinking is, wait, you can make choices in this fan game? And my answer to that is, why yes you can. This single aspect differentiates Murder Drones The First Encounter from many other written fan projects, which are kind of only just text-based. Even though many of these other fan projects are great, and I do like them, shout out to Murder Drones Intermission, I feel that the level of interactivity this fan project gives elevates the entire project, making it a much better experience overall. Now, for simplicity's sake, and not dragging out the explanation of the story out more than I have to, I'm just going to cover what I did on my first playthrough. Whenever I say the term the player, that means you're able to make a decision in the story, and is an excuse for you to play the game yourself. So if you haven't played the game yet, then this is your second warning to go and download and play this game for yourself. After Artyom quickly rushes through the rest of his presentation, it's now the end of class. While Artyom is putting all of his unread papers back into the bag, he hears someone calling out to him. The player chooses to turn around instead of ignoring whoever was trying to get his attention. Artyom turns around to see Katie standing there. She compliments Artyom on his presentation, and the player chooses to accept the compliment. Katie elaborates that she wants to hear more about this antenna Artyom is working on, and the player chooses to explain Artyom's project in detail. After talking about Katie and Artyom's parents and where they work, Katie leaves the room, and a little while after that, Artyom leaves as well. After a little bit of walking down the halls, when Artyom gets to his room and sees a note his parents left for him telling him not to go up to the surface while they're both busy at work, he obviously crushes it up as he's going to completely ignore his parents' wishes, like an edgy teen. After getting the blueprints he needs for his antenna, he heads out to the surface. While outside, Artyom explains how his OS is messed up due to his father being English and his mother being Russian. While outside, Artyom hits a junction with 3 paths, which all lead to different pieces that Artyom needs to build his antenna. The player chooses to go to block 1 first, And most likely, you probably should do this as well when you play through the game. I'll just explain this more later. Artyom enters the room, which appears to be some type of communication room, and sees turrets in the hall. He has to go down to get the part that he needs. After looking around, Artyom sees a keypad behind the desk, which is connected to the security systems. After the player solves a puzzle to deactivate the security systems, Artyom enters the room and grabs the piece he needs for the receiver. After that, Artyom is back at the junction, where the player chooses to go to Block 2 next. Approaching Block 2, Artyom has to hack the door to get it open, and it works. But by doing this, it's kind of set off the security systems. Artyom enters the room and the player has 39 moves to grab the pieces Artyom needs before the door closes on him and traps Artyom in Block 2 for good. After the player navigates through Block 2, Artyom has gathered all of the pieces he needs for the emitter. With no other options left, Artyom heads for the old tower to get the last piece he needs. As Artyom climbs the tower, he realizes that this tower is quite close to collapsing, and the servos in his hands are starting to lock up as it gets colder and colder as he gets higher. But after getting to the top and grabbing the piece Artyom needs, the tower starts to tilt and fall. Artyom, however, is lucky as the tower is tilting just slowly enough so Artyom just doesn't plummet to his death, even though he kind of thought he was going to. After walking away from the broken tower, Artyom hears someone behind him, and it's none other than Katie. And we learn that Artyom is not the only worker drone that come up to the surface. Once Artyom and Katie get to the antenna Artyom has set up, Katie shows that she does have some knowledge in the electronics, which impresses Artyom. After setting up the antenna, Artyom and Katie are astonished to see a signal coming back to them, a spaceship heading towards Copper 9. Artyom can only imagine what is in there. But, I mean, we kind of already know what's in there, murder drones. So, there isn't much speculation on what's, like, in the ship. And that's the prologue. Now, before I say anything, I just want to say I'm very impressed with this project. Especially because it's only made by, like, 7 fucking people. And all of them were able to do something that I legitimately just never could. So, first off, the good. The overview I did does not give the writing justice, and I have purposely left out details so I don't spend 55 minutes explaining every little thing in the story. And second, it gives more reason to play it yourself, as every download is an incentive for Alan to continue his work and give it more publicity. Anyway, the writing here is quite good. It makes me excited to see more. The story kept me engaged throughout the entire project without question. Artyom, the protagonist, steals the show here. His character is very entertaining, and he's a great protagonist to follow behind. He has similar motifs to Uzi, like not being very popular in school, having interests nobody really understands, but he is completely his own character. And what they have done to make him different is quite interesting. If you remember how I said Artyom's programming is messed up due to his parents' different ethnicities messing up his OS, this is one of them. It's a quirk in his character that makes him interesting in a unique way, instead of, eldritch horror genetic powers from your goth mom. But the story does hint about the absolute solver, so who really knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, Katie's character is nothing special, but I really do like her character. And the dialogue between her and Artyom is charming. I have a feeling her character will be more fleshed out as the story continues on, as she doesn't get much screen time here, but from what we do see, she seems to be a very curious person, exploring the surface, wanting to know more about Artyom's project, even when no one else cares in the frickin' slightest, and being the only person to see Artyom's project. So in conclusion to her character, I like her quite a bit, and can't wait to see how her character changes and expands in the future. The next big thing I love is the interactive aspects of this prologue. It adds so much to the writing, and as someone who loves visual novels, this is a huge plus in my book. It feels like I'm playing a Telltale game, which is just awesome to see. The choices you make here just make you more invested in the world, and it just makes you crave more of this project. Now with the positives done, out with the criticisms. The first big complaint I have is the puzzles, in particular, the maze puzzle. In my overview, I did gloss over them, but they are definitely my favorite part of this project, besides the maze puzzle, if you can really call it a puzzle. Now, on a conceptual level, I love the maze puzzle. Using prompts to navigate a maze is really cool in concept. It reminds me of an old point-and-click adventure game with dialogue, kind of like Day Shift at Freddy's, if you guys know that game. I don't know, maybe I'll like make a video on that as well. But this idea, put into practice, just doesn't work very well in my opinion. In this maze, losing your sense of direction is quite easy, as navigating a space with just text is definitely not as easy as, navigating a maze in the real world, or just in a traditional medium, kind of like a first-person shooter. I would definitely consistently find myself losing direction and accidentally going into the same room I have already been in by accident. But who am I to criticize something without giving away the fix-it? For this, I have two options. First, create a mental map for Artyom while navigating the maze. Now, if you enter block 1, first it does give you a map of the maze, making it much easier. But for me, it feels more like a necessity than an option, forcing me to always choose block 1 first, and most people who play through this game. I think a mental map is the perfect middle ground. It preserves the original idea of the puzzle while making sure the player doesn't enter a room that they haven't already been in by accident, wasting valuable moves and just flat out making it less frustrating. And it makes the map still useful, as it would give you more additional information on the maze compared to the mental map. Now for option 2. This one is definitely more time consuming and a lot more effort. But maybe each room in the maze has its own separate image in the top right corner that's kind of already integrated into the UI. This would give the player a natural sense of direction by forcing the player to use what they see in the images as a guide, like how we navigate the real world by using landmarks. Second criticism is kind of a minor nitpick. Even though I like Katie and the interaction between her and Artyom is great, I think maybe just 1 or 2 more scenes to flesh out her character would be very, very nice. Maybe Katie and Artyom talk about something while walking back home from class, something that adds to her character to really get the reader to care for her, but as like right now, she doesn't necessarily do very much. But I totally understand if we don't get to see more of her as she plays a bigger role later in the story. And that concludes my criticisms. Now, some things I would like to see in the future for this project are quick saves at any point. It's a simple feature, but a very, very important one in my opinion, especially if the chapters start to become longer as they go on. But for the prologue to not have quick saves totally makes sense, as it's quite short. I mean, you can finish the thing in like just a couple of hours, so it makes total sense. The other one is more world building. The original Murder Drones didn't give us much when it came to world building. Explaining how stuff works it should definitely be more of a priority, I think, in any project that is made by the community for Murder Drones. This is mainly because of how rushed the original Murder Drones show is. Having only 8 episodes meant that the story could never really slow down and show us more of how the worker drones actively live their lives. I really do think the original Murder Drones should have gotten a second season, but I mean, that's a campfire story for another time. So having this project expand on the world would be an awesome plus. To conclude my crazed ramblings, I really like this project so far. I would say it's one of the best Murder Drone fan projects that is out right now. Even if other projects have more production value, better lighting, give off the feeling it came straight from Glitch Productions, is still quite cool. But a lot of them are currently in production, or in the case of a series, still having the pilot episode being made. And that makes total sense, as these things take tons of time and work, especially as none of these people working on these are really compensated for their work at all. But if you are itching for more Murder Drones fan content and can't find anything else, then Murder Drones: The First Encounter is a great read. It has a level of quality, charm, and uniqueness that you won't find anywhere else in the fandom. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this topic. See ya.